Hello, my little acorn crop, and welcome to the Naked Goth Tag. In this tag, I am supposed to remove all of my gothic trappings, which I have, all the stuff that I can, and this is a kind of an internal exploration of what would make me goth if without all of the gothic trappings, the black clothes, the hair, the makeup, the piercings, yada yada yada. Most of the videos I've watched, everyone has said it's an internal thing, you know, it comes from the inside. And I'm going to propose that it not only comes from the inside, but that we are actually a little different than everyone else, organically speaking. Years ago, I had read an article that I thought aptly explained why gothic and creative and artistic and eccentric people were actually different. Like, there's something, like literally something that makes us different. And what it was is a professor by the name of Frank Ullin was researching dopamine D2 receptor genes, which are believed to govern divergent thought. And he found highly creative people had fewer D2 receptors in the thalamus. The thalamus serves as the relay center for filtering information before it reaches the cortex, which is responsible for, among other things, cognition and reasoning. So what it kind of means is, I think, that gothic and creative and all the best people are basically receiving like a fire hose of information, while maybe people who are less creative are receiving a garden hose's worth of information. And I think that kind of, you know, seeing all of different information, receiving different inputs, you know, all of that makes you see things differently and makes you different. And to me, that would explain why people who don't really want to call attention to themselves, I mean, how many gothic people are shy, are quiet, you know, a lot of them are, I think, you know, and they're dressing up in a way that is going to, you know, have tons of attention thrown at them. And I think they can't really help themselves, honestly. I think we can't. I think it really is that we're receiving all of this information. Now, why we choose to express it as goths do, wearing black and stuff, I'm not totally sure. Maybe it's different levels of these D2 receptors. I couldn't say, because I'm definitely not a scientist. But I have to also kind of wonder how much of my goth is from the goth diet I feed myself, you know, because, you know, I like skulls and I like bats and I like hearses, and, you know, I read books about, you know, funeral directors and stuff like that, just because that stuff intrigues me. You know, the point, you're dead or you're alive one minute and you're dead the next. I find that intriguing. What happens in that moment? You know, not that I'm into death. I'm actually kind of, you know, I'm kind of afraid of death. I don't really want to die, but at the same time, you know, I'm intrigued by it. It's this thing that I want to know more about, and you know, darker stories and darker music and, you know, stuff like that. What happens after you die? What happens if you're immortal, you know, like vampires? And, you know, I'm intrigued by all those stories, and I always have been. Now, when I talk about the goth diet, I think that goths nowadays have it really easy because the diet's out there. You know, it's like the gothic chefs have, you know, created all these exotic dishes for us to eat, and, you know, the people that were pioneering goth, you know, Susie and the Banshees and Bauhaus, and, you know, they didn't even know, they were just doing. And I think that's what I'm meaning by we receive all this information, all these inputs, which in our hearts translate to this darkness and that we exude. And, you know, I keep using the food analogy. A lot of people like Reese's. but there's going to be someone out there who likes, you know, uber salty Dutch licorice candy, which a lot of people don't like, and I think that's kind of how goth is. You know, it's a taste, but it does come from inside. And, you know, I think it's almost a comfort. You know, like, I know I feel comforted by the darker tones. I feel comforted by, you know, skulls, which I know some people are going to be like, I'm with you, and other people are going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're comforted by skulls, you know. But it is something from inside. Like, I feel like skulls are symbolic of my ancestors, the people that loved me, you know, like my grandparents. I count as ancestors, you know. Maybe they're a little closer on the family family line than someone else, but, you know, they were people that loved me, that would have comforted me, that would have tried to help me. And so a lot of my enjoyment of skulls is that, you know. What about black clothing? I don't know. I find the color black to be comforting. When I have to wear like a white shirt, or if I have to wear a white shirt, I know that I like the white and black contrast, but oh my gosh, I cannot wear white because I'm going to tell a story that I should probably not tell. And this probably has nothing to do with the goth tag, but it might be entertaining anyway. So I had this pinstriped white shirt, and at work one day, I had to train someone, and so I wore this white pinstripe shirt. It was very kind of, you know, it was very professional looking, and I had a coffee, which somehow I didn't have the lid screwed on tight enough, and went all over the front of me was this coffee. And I mean, it was bad, and I didn't have a stunt shirt that day, because I try to keep a stunt shirt, so in case of emergencies like that, or you lose a button or you tear your shirt, yada yada. I mean, granted, I work in an office, but you can manage to tear, you know, your shirt. I had a friend that tore her shirt walking into the event we were going to on a mirror on a car. Just walked by and whoosh, rip. And so she had the cuff up here, you know, where the shoulder part, and then the cuff down here where the shirt was sewn into. It was a long sleeve shirt, but the sleeve, other than that, gone. So stunt shirt and stunt shoes are the way to go, people. Make sure you have those in your car, in the office, especially if you're wearing a nice outfit, but we'll get into that stuff some other time. Regardless, so I poured coffee all over the front of me. I actually had to borrow someone's sweater to cover that up because it was awful, and I had to train someone. Yeah, that's why we wear black, people. It's not because we're cool, it's because it doesn't show the blood or coffee stains. In a nutshell, to you know, compress it all into this little end of the video, I think that we receive an overabundance of information. Therefore, that changes our core being. Like, we're seeing more than other people see. Maybe we're seeing more truths than other people do. And that changes us. And that makes us unable to resist how we express that, you know, as goths, with, you know, the black clothes and the hair and the makeup. And that's what I firmly believe, that we actually are organically different, that it's not just a feeling, it is a reality. And with that, if you disagree, if you agree, or if you have some other completely different idea that you want to talk about, feel free to put that in the comments. You know, I would definitely like to hear other people's opinions on this, and I really find this an intriguing topic. And as always, good night, America, wherever you are.